Welcome to the art and science of difficult conversations. I'm Chris.
And I'm Lucie, and we love having difficult conversations.
That's right. And each week we'll either share a tip, hear how others have gotten better at difficult conversations, or demonstrate common difficult conversations and what to do and what not to do.
Let's get into it.
All right, so take one, what not to do. Hey, Lucie, I need to talk to you real quick.
Okay, what's going on, Chris?
Listen, I've been checking your paperwork. I think you've been okay everywhere else, but your paperwork, you're just not doing it well enough. It's just not up to the standard we need.
What do you mean well enough? I submitted it on time. Everything was there.
Well, you haven't really been submitting it on time either. The reality is a lot of it's late. A lot of it's filled out incorrectly. And I've trained you so many times on how to do it. I've walked you through it. Like, I just need you to figure this out.
Okay, but, I was waiting for Lena from accounting to give me some additional documents. So that's why I was late.
So then why didn't you reach out?
Yeah, well, I guess I could have, but I think I told you that when I was submitting the paperwork, that's why I'm late with it. It was just this time because of that was her fault.
Well, it's not just this time; it's lots of other times. So I just need you to figure this out. Or let me ask you this: would it be easier if I just did it?
If you want to do it, you can do it.
All right, fine. I'll just do it. Thanks, Lucie.
Thank you, Chris.
So let's record this is a debrief of that scenario. And Lucie, you were great. Thanks for being the employee. And,
thank you for doing the work.
Yeah, no problem. And we can go through, I guess we'll go through, we can just talk about what didn't I do well as a manager. And I think the first thing is I was really vague about what you needed to do, what you did wrong and what you need to do differently. I just said, just go figure it out. You were late. I didn't have any evidence of how many times you've been doing it. It could have been 1 time. It could have been 100 times. You'll never know. I'll never know. So I was just really vague about what you should be doing differently.
And well, definitely, I as an employee, I loved the piece where you said, I'll just do it myself.
Yeah,
less work on my plate. But I think definitely for the manager, there are negative impacts of that, because then there's the leader becomes the bottleneck if they do everything by themselves. And not just that, they can become burnout and resentful. I have to do everything around here.
Yeah.
So that's also a strategy that doesn't work in the long term. It might fix the short term situation, but it's actually kind of sabotaging the overall success for everybody.
Yeah. And eventually what's going to happen with the employee that has less and less work to do? They're just not going to feel fulfilled at work. They're going to feel like, well, I'm not doing anything here.
That's true. And so anything else that you saw that wasn't working so well from the side of the manager?
Yeah, I think I was playing it as frustrated because I said I've tried to show you many times before. And I think that's another area managers overlook is trying to figure out where in the process you're getting stuck. And you tried to give it to me. You tried to say I was waiting for information. And I could have explored that. I could have explored what the bottleneck is, what's the barrier, helped you brainstorm, help coach you through how to get better response from the other person. And instead, I just kept harping on, you just need to get it done.
Yeah. So actually, you haven't asked me any questions. So,
yeah.
and I'm hearing additional important aspect that you're bringing up. We talked previously about emotional intelligence. When we talked about how we are going to do this. So kind of you said you came frustrated to the conversation.
Hmm.
And for me, when I felt the frustration, okay, I'm going to defend myself.
Yeah.
So if you have any conversations like that, and the other person is on the defensive, check in with yourself. Are you actually saying it from the frustrated kind of
Mm.
state?
Yeah. Yeah. And, I've seen this lots of times, especially managers who are more blunt and direct, and their style is
Mm.
that. And that's okay that their personality is that way.
Yeah.
And they're not reading the room. They don't know that their employee needs a little bit less of that, and a little bit more processing time.
Yeah. Mm. And that's an additional point. You just came and say, I need to talk to you. So I had no processing time in a way. I didn't
Mm.
know what's going on. Okay, what's wrong? What's happening? So
Yeah.
for some people, it might be, let's have a meeting. I want to talk to you about something. Or what would be a good way? What would you say? Kind of
I think just
positioning.
even, yeah, I think starting out that way is okay. And then
Mm-hmm.
just checking in to make sure, hey, I want to talk about this topic. Is this a good time to talk about this?
Yeah, so checking if it's a good time for me, so I'm not like in the middle of something else
Yeah.
and being half distracted and frustrated for the interruption and scared what's going on because
Yeah.
I'm sensing your frustration.
Right.
Mm.
Right. And I think if it's within the bounds of your one to one, then you may not have to check in if it's a good time to talk about it because it's already your one to one.
Yeah.
But if it is just a regular outside time, then yeah, you want to check in and make sure, is this a good time to talk about this specific thing?
That's a good one. So now we looked at the behavior of the manager. Should we also address here the behavior of the employee, what the
Yeah.
employee should be?
Yeah. Well, it's a
Uh,
tough spot, right? Especially if I always think if you come from a culture where you're always trying to be people pleasing, or people you see as like
mm,
your elders or people who are hierarchically above you, you want to please them. It's a little bit harder to feel like you have some responsibility in the situation to push back or be more assertive about what you need. But what
you're
do you think? I
really,
mean, you were playing the employee in that situation.
yeah, that's a great point. Um, and I think lots of people can resonate with it, especially women, maybe also,
Mm.
female male dynamics in the workplace, how that works.
Hmm.
When
Yeah.
angry, frustrated man comes to,
Yeah.
some soft, gentle female that might kind of make her feel unsafe.
Right. Right.
So even from that lens. And yeah, I believe, that from the employee perspective, great point of if we have people pleasing tendencies, we might just say yes. Okay, I'll do better. It depends also on our personality style. It
Mm.
depends on our, I would say, coping mechanisms. What do
Mm.
we do when we are stressed out? Some people shut down. Some people freeze. They cannot say anything to the boss. Some people
Yeah.
also become angry and they start both shouting at each other and arguing with each other. So
Yeah.
that's also what doesn't usually work, I would
Right.
say.
So then, from your
So,
perspective, what do you think the employee could have done differently?
so as I was role playing that, I was thinking how difficult I should be, but I did feel um, getting on the defensive side of
Mm.
things. Like I have to defend myself because I feel I'm being attacked here.
Yeah.
So and then I started kind of instead of asking questions. So well, we can do in the next video what is better to do. But
Hmm.
I think what didn't work for the employee kind of get also hijacked emotionally,
Mm.
like feeling, oh my God, like I did something wrong. What's happening? I have to defend myself and kind of starting the dance of the frustration slash defense without
Mm.
really thinking clear. I think neither of us at the time can be really thinking clear, solution focused. Even though the manager, okay, you just need to get it done, thinks they're really actually getting it done, but it really doesn't work because
Yeah.
there's the emotional aspects of the communication
Hmm.
that we also need to pay attention to.
Right. Right. Which is so key because that's if we're hijacked emotionally, as you're talking about, we're not going to be able to think clearly.
And so the employee, maybe they have some valid reason, but at the time, if they're hijacked and fearful, they cannot even remember. Sometimes we don't have access to that part of the brain.
That's right.
And the leader, the manager can think, oh my God, they're so stupid. They cannot even tell me anything.
Hmm.
Well, it may be because they're in a hijacked emotional state.
Right.
So give them a moment and create some form of safety. And maybe now would be a good time for us to pause here and go to the next video, how it should be done.
Yeah. All right. So let's do how to do this as a manager, having this performance conversation in a better way, a more fruitful way to have this conversation. So, hey, Lucie, how are you today? Do you have time to talk?
Oh, hi, Chris. Yeah. I have like 30 minutes. Is that good time? Is that enough? What do you need?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I just wanted to talk about how you're doing on the paperwork and some of these deadlines for some of the work you're doing. Is a good time to talk about it?
Yeah. Let's do it. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Lucie, I've just noticed over the past week there have been a couple of reports that you've submitted late, so it's past the deadline, as well as you've missed a couple of fields off of them that we've talked about. So, I wanted to check in with you, kind of what's going on from your perspective.
Thank you so much. It's been frustrating for me too. There's Lina from accounting, and she's had some family issues. So
Hmm.
she had some sick days and family days. And so she's late with giving me some information.
Hmm.
So that's why it also delayed me because I cannot submit it unless I have all the information.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So that's frustrating for you because you can't get that information.
no, exactly. And then it's frustrating for you because you don't have my paperwork filled out
Right.
properly.
Yeah. So that
I
makes
should have
sense.
communicated that earlier. I'm sorry. I was just in my own world, I guess, frustrated and caught in my own battles here.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that. I'm wondering, do you want to is it worth kind of brainstorming together how we could work to get that information a little sooner so you're not delayed on that?
Yeah, that might be helpful actually. Because I think I was just pushing it aside because I have my own things to deal with.
Mm.
Mm, because I felt like there's nothing else I can do. If she's out, then who else can I talk to?
Mm.
Um, yeah, do you have any suggestions? Like how could we address that?
I have a couple of ideas, but I'd love to hear what you're thinking first because you interact with her much more closely than I do.
I guess I could have a conversation. I thought it was just temporary, but it seems it's coming into the second week and it's still not
Mm.
being resolved. So maybe I need to have a conversation with her, plan B. Hey, this is really impacting our department. Is there somebody else, who I can work with now when you're out?
Mm.
Instead of just leaving it for the next day and the next day, and it seems it's been a week. So maybe I need to really have a conversation with her and kind of figure out our backup plan
Yeah.
if the family situation doesn't get resolved. And
Yeah.
she's also stressed out. So I kind of feel for her, and just I think she also forgot. Maybe it's like
Yeah.
just things are happening.
Yeah. It happens. I get it. Family stuff, personal stuff, it happens. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that
Mm.
sounds like a great idea.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk with her. I think she's in today actually, so I'm gonna give her a call after we finish,
Okay.
and then I can follow up with you and by the email and see if there's anything else.
Awesome. Yeah. And then can I also just check in? Like, I know there's been a few fields that have been filled out incorrectly,
Oh,
or just left blank.
okay. Hmm. Would you give me more information? Which one? Maybe I wasn't aware of that I need to fill those out as well.
Yeah, there's a couple of fields around just the overall report, the overall amounts
Oh,
from different sectors, as well as
okay. Maybe the
just
field
the
number 15. I
yeah,
think I left that out. So I
yeah.
need to fill that out also. Okay, will do. Okay. I'll make a note so I always make sure that I put the information in the field 15. I wasn't sure before.
Okay, okay. Do you feel like you have enough information to do that?
I think so, yeah. And if not, then if I then can I reach out to you directly?
Yeah, yes. Please send me an email. Let me know.
Okay. Okay.
And I think also, let's check in. When would be a good time for you that you would want to check in again, just to make sure we're on the right track here.
That's a good idea. Thank you. Well, I guess in 2 weeks, by that time, I should have the conversation and also fill out some other paperwork. So I should have enough to know if I'm struggling with anything
Okay.
or any questions.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, thanks. How do you feel about these plans?
Yeah, thank you. I think it was actually helpful to, help me realize that I really need to talk with her and not wait for it to get better, but really actually take action and be more proactive. So thank you. That was helpful. And thank you for telling me about the field number 15.
Yeah,
I'll be more careful about that.
great. Well, thanks for your time, Lucy. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right. And cut.
Yay!
I feel like that was a lot smoother.
Yeah.
But also, I will say this: you're very cooperative as an employee.
I was the better version of an employee.
Yeah. So yeah, from your perspective, because you saw both, what do you think went better, or do you think about my approach went better that time?
So, you know, from the emotional perspective, I start with that one first, since I'm focusing on the emotional
Yeah,
intelligence.
absolutely.
I felt more at ease.
Hmm.
You came and it was respectful. You checked in if I have time, and I, checked my schedule, and I realized, yeah, I can be present with you. Yeah, let's talk. And also, I didn't feel that you were frustrated. You just
Hmm.
wanted to talk. So I was open. It didn't feel like, oh my God, something's wrong.
Hmm.
So I felt more at ease,
Hmm.
like safer, open, like,
Yeah.
okay, let's talk. So definitely that was number one difference for me. It felt
Hmm.
easier. I felt safer. I didn't feel judged. I didn't
Yep.
feel attacked. And I think that allowed me um, to be relaxed and to tell the truth, like what's going on. And also, what you did wonderfully, you asked question,
Hmm.
and it felt like you really want to understand. It's not like you're accusing me, but you just want
Hmm.
to support me and understand what's happened and how you can support me. So I felt supported and I didn't feel judged. And you gave me actually very specific information, and I realized, yeah, you know what, that field number 15, that I wasn't sure about.
Hmm.
And so I think that was like, let's say, the fear of, I didn't want to bother you. So I double
Hmm.
checked that I can reach out to you when I have questions. You said, yes, sure. We even scheduled a follow up.
Yep.
So that felt like I'm being supported, and it created a safe environment. How is it for you? How was it for you, this scenario?
Well, I think for sure you were so cooperative and so insightful that it made it easy. And yes, for sure, I think the approach I had, the phrasing, the asking the questions will help. It also helps that you were just so cooperative. Yeah, I think asking questions is the key,
Mm,
because I don't know what the problem is really, and I can prescribe you to do something, but I may not know if that's really what's getting in the way, you
I
know.
think you just said a key thing. I don't know what the problem is.
Mm,
When you say that, it's like a curiosity, and there's
yeah.
there's some problem on the outside. In the previous scenario that we did, it felt like I am the problem, and therefore,
Mm,
it created the sense of I had to deflect, I had to like defend myself, fight back, possibly.
yeah.
Um, so when I felt, oh, this is not me, this is something outside that we need to solve together,
Right.
I think that also helps me open up and be more cooperative, actually, and bring up my ideas, what I can do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great because that's usually what I try to tell managers also is that the other, or even just in conflict, people doing conflict resolution, like the other person isn't the problem. It's the problem is the problem. And the
Mm,
more you can get the other person on board with you to solve that problem, the less they're going to be defensive towards that. And that played out here perfectly.
absolutely. I think you did it really well. And there was a sense of calmness. So also, you as a manager were able to emotionally self-regulate, even though maybe you were
Yeah.
upset in the past. You did something that, okay, you came calm to the meeting, um, and brought up of, we are in this together in a way. Let's fix it together. Let's figure it out. How can I support you? and bringing that, how can I support you versus you did something wrong, you better fix it.
Yeah.
As a completely different both energy and kind of my reaction, the employee's reaction.
Right.
One gets you shut down employee or upset employee who then fights back, and the other one a more cooperative, nicer employee.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And one of the things that this second manager did that the first one didn't do was I wasn't just telling you to do stuff and I didn't tell you how to do it. Right. I drew it out of you how to solve that problem.
Yeah,
Asking you,
that
how would
is
you go about this? And you even asked me, like, I think that's a trap that I used to fall into and a lot of managers still fall into is you asked me, how can you solve this problem? And I could have just told you the answer.
true.
And
And you didn't.
you came up with a different answer than I would have come up with, but I turned it back on you. Like, what would you do? How would you solve it?
I love that. And I hear a lot of clients ask me, how do I have my employees come up with their own ideas? And I think that's exactly what happens. They just ask, the manager tells them what to do,
Yes.
the end of ideas.
Yeah.
So you didn't fall into that trap. Very well done.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt it too. Like my heart rate was like, oh, wait, no. I cannot tell you the answer. And it's interesting. The answer you came up with again was so different than what I would have told you to do.
And when you hear that that answer, because you then didn't put your own answers to that, I was waiting. Okay,
Right.
maybe you add on top of that. So what stopped you to add your answer to that?
I wanted to see how your answer would go first because maybe yours
Oh.
is like the best way to go about it. I don't really know. And I think it's recognizing that you do the work. You're directly involved in the work that I'm not. You have this relationship with this other department that I don't have. So you check it out. You know what works best. You're an adult. I trust that you know what you're doing.
I think you said a keyword, trust.
Mm,
And when the employee also feels trusted, that they're capable of solving it on their own, they feel also more empowered and motivated to actually go and figure it out,
yeah.
rather than feeling like complete idiot in a way that the boss thinks of them. And you know what? I will just do it myself.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's very
Yeah.
demotivating. Okay, you do
Right.
it. So well
Yeah.
done. It's actually if addressing also motivation
Mm,
and staying accountable. I believe that's additional area that you done really well. You checked with me like will be next time, kind of to check in if
yeah.
you need any more support, and you didn't feel like, okay, I'm here for you to punish me and control or micromanage me. But it felt more of like a supportive check-in. If I have
Yeah.
any questions, if I struggle with anything. So I think
Yeah.
it was another area of like, and also it was supporting me to keep my own accountability. Okay, by next time, by these 2 weeks, I'm gonna talk with Lena from accounting, and then I'm gonna see if I have any questions around the form.
Right.
That's anything that I've struggled with. So in a way, you empowered me to have more accountability and kind of motivation, because I
Yeah.
created that my own idea. Usually when we come up with our own ideas, we are more motivated to actually do that rather than
Absolutely.
somebody else telling us what to do.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And I think that setting that follow up is something a lot of managers don't do either. Is they they just assume you're going to do it, and then you don't do it for whatever reason. Just either you don't want to do it or something happens,
Yeah.
and then now they're wondering, well, how can I follow up? How can I hold this person accountable?
Mhm.
And it's setting up that follow up. When are we going to check in about this next? And what's going to
That's
happen at this follow up?
I love it. Anything else that you would like to add that we're missing?
Um, I would like to point out, like, it just took a little bit of extra time to do this than the first one. Like the first one maybe took 5 minutes. This one took maybe even 10 minutes. I don't even really think it took that long. But it doesn't take a ton of extra time. It does take extra time, but not a ton to just go in and explore and be curious and figure out what the problem is and be collaborative in figuring out how we're going to solve it. So I think it's for managers who worry about time it takes, it doesn't take a ton of extra time to do this.
Yeah, that's a very great point. And I would say the little extra time investment at the beginning will save a lot of pain and frustration and mess ups later. So I would say
That's right.
it's a worthy investment,
Yeah.
even if just 5 minutes that can save hours of frustration or cost, actually financial cost later
Yep. That's right. That's
when
right.
something important doesn't, or injuries, right? When people don't learn to do things right, depending on the industry and type of work.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Any parting thoughts from you from what you've noticed?
I think we've kind of covered it all. And maybe what we can do is to create a worksheet for all of you that are watching that want a summary of all the points, what not to do, what to do, and why. We'll have a downloadable PDF somewhere in the link.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Lucie.
Thank you, Chris. See you next time.